Back, relax, and just listen closely to the words of this video. I won't play all of it. I'm gonna jump ahead, but here's the name of it, the video. If you want to look it up, but just listen to these words carefully, all right?
Pounds of steel and coal harnessed together furnish the power that drives Rio Grande Scenic Limited westbound over towering Continental Divide, through rugged Tennessee Pass, 10,240 feet of elevation in a land of Herculean proportions, down a granite vertebra of the backbone of the North American continent, into color-splashed canyons modeled with spruce and pine, evergreen sponges that retard the rush of water from eternal snows. Mile after mile, our route parallels the Colorado River, a swift-flowing palette that catches the myriad colors of nature's endless parade of beauty, a surging guide that leads us across Colorado's boundary at dusk into Utah. Now a mysterious land of empurpled distances, shadow-tinted by a retreating sun. Rhythmic wheels symphonize a lullaby of flanges and rails, desert night and sky spangles, past small way stations, on to a dawn destination, Arches National Monument, which is reached from a tiny desert outpost, Thompson, Utah. Flame scarlet rays herald the approach of a desert morning, and we are on our way by horseback to the Arches, a complex group of sandstone portals ranging in size from peepholes to great openings through which armies could march.
I hope you heard what he just said about that right there, because that was one of the things that definitely caught my ear. The way he described that to begin with.
Everywhere they exhibit a wizardry of sculpture, great bowls of sandstone perfectly engineered.
Doesn't that look like that image of what was it, the Sphinx, right? How the Sphinx has is it the Sphinx that has its nose broken off? Like I thought about when I seen that, it looked like that to me. Like this, you know, like this looks like the nose, the eyes, the head. Maybe they were wearing something on their head, or maybe it's a mohawk. I don't know, or just the hair was cut that way. But look at that, look like the nose, the ears, eyebrows, the head, eyes. See that?
Spectacular rock visions dominating this vast desert domain. The giant openings are natural windows through which we view an enchanted land. Red rocks and sagebrush reaching out to the mighty snow-capped La Salle Mountains. Like a fantastic scene from the Arabian Nights, we succumb to the spell of a desert witchery. and are enthralled by an unbelievable processional, a parade of elephants.
The parade of elephants. Now look, watch this.
Mighty stone pachyderms, as if waiting the appearance of a
Elephant, right? The trunk, its head, its ears, leg here, between the legs, another leg, under its stomach, right? Back legs, its high back.
bejeweled potentate. This is a world of magic windows, grotesque grandeur created by wind and erosion. The desert possesses an impelling force. Miles of pale yellow sand lift themselves to meet a sky band of faraway cliffs. An indescribable vastness softened now by the waning purple and molten silver shadows of a departing day. Aboard the Scenic Limited again, through ebony darkness, into Utah's great Carbon County coal region. Fair Pavilion.
I'm gonna skip ahead. They only give a short shout out to this. They say it was built by Moorish architects. If you actually watch this video, I believe it's either in this one or it's in the one for Colorado. I just watched them back to back. I can't remember. Sorry, I got heartburn. They actually say that there's when they're going through here, you know, the stuff you can see when you're going through the states. They say there is a Buddhist temple in the mountains of Colorado. So you have to sit down and watch this so you can hear it for yourself. I tried to find it, but I'm kind of running short on time, so bear with me here.
Its Moorish architecture lures thousands of visitors, offering pleasure and recreational thrills. Dancing on the largest open-air floor in the world, and easy access to the Great Salt.
Now I'm going to skip ahead real quick here. I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this video. As you read about the Moors, I'm sorry, forgive me, not the Moors, who are they? Joseph Smith and the Mormons, they really take the whole end of the book of Joshua. It seems like they take that part of the book extremely serious, and they turned it into the Deseret, which to me, they didn't really fulfill, because if you read Jeremiah, forgive me, they took the end of the book of Jeremiah really serious, and it seems like they didn't fulfill it because they went out to certain places, which I've been trying to find where they originally went when they went to the West, because they go to these places, they fail, they keep failing, and finally they decide they have to have water, so they take Salt Lake from the Indians, and from there they decided that they fulfilled the book of Jeremiah, and fulfilling the part where Israel will now take a desert and turn it into an oasis, right? A kingdom in the desert. So I want you to hear with their own words here when they get to Utah, and how much they think that they have accomplished it.
Objective is just a matter of moments. Air brakes gently slow our train, while alert porters make ready to empty passenger-crowded vestibules into the busy Rio Grande station. Salt Lake City, commercially and culturally the lodestone of the West, a tribute to the foresight and wisdom of its founder, Brigham Young. Majestically situated on a rolling slope, Utah's magnificent granite capital is a fitting symbol of this great commonwealth. Famous Eagle Gate makes a striking arch to the portal which led to Brigham Young's private estate, while close by stands a bronze of him, surmounting the Pioneer Monument, a massive granite pedestal. Sculptured by Dolan, the statue represents Brigham Young in a characteristic pose, and is an excellent likeness of him in his prime.
If anybody can, could you leave it in the comment section? Why do they always shave the top part of their beard off? You ever notice that? The mustache area? It's always shaven off. What's the history behind that? I don't think it grows that way. I've seen men around here that are Amish. I know the Amish and them are not the same people. But I noticed they like to shave the tops of theirs off too. And I was just wondering if anybody knows why that is.
Everything here bears the impress of this brilliant man. And our trip would not be complete without visiting the Emigration Canyon Monument, marking the spot where travel-stained wagons halted on July 24th, 18...
Hear that? Immigration wagons, right? They back then they were the immigrant, and now they'll tell you, no, we're the American. Everybody else is the immigrant here, right? The arrogance.
47, to permit their leader, Brigham Young, to rise from his sick bed in a wagon box and exclaim, "Is the place."
And you see, and that's what I was talking about in the past, where I brought up that, Brigham Young, they knew exactly what they were looking for. They knew exactly the territory they were looking for, because as I was listening to the history documentary on Utah here on YouTube, the lady from Utah, she was explaining that he was sick. I believe she said that Brigham Young was sick with yellow fever, but yet somehow, some way, he musters up the strength and the energy to stand up and say, "This is it," wherever that place was, which I don't think it was Utah, Salt Lake. I think it was somewhere else, because for instance, you look into these ghost towns that are out there, and in California, Arizona, Nevada. They have a Mormon history to them, where the Mormons they settled here. They couldn't make it. There was no water, so they end up moving closer to Salt Lake. Look into the history of, Joshua State Tree Park, right? Where the Mormons named these cactus-looking trees the Joshua tree. But they're out in California. The specific park is out in California, not in Utah. So you wonder, what were they doing out there, So... like I said, whenever I hear this, it's one of the things that stand out to my mind. It's like, he didn't make it where he thought he was going to be. You know what I'm saying? But he had maps, or he had information where he knew exactly where he wanted to go.
Presently, the Mormon Tabernacle, seating 8,000 people, is so acoustically perfect that a pin dropped may be heard the length of the auditorium. The great temple is a remarkable example of pioneer architecture. 4 days after his arrival in the desert wilderness, Brigham Young, while walking, suddenly stopped and, striking his cane into the parched soil, said, "Here we will build the temple of our God. The golden covered statue of the angel..."
Hear that? Here we will build the temple of our God, who is the God of Mormonism. I can give you a hint. If you look up the library in Utah, Salt Lake, they have done a layout that is seen from the sky, and it is an owl. And there's a guy here on YouTube that did a really good job explaining the difference between Molech, explained who exactly Hillary Clinton said she was going to sacrifice that chicken to in her backyard, in her WikiLeaks emails, and what's the Mormon connection to the owl, which I thought was really interesting, because he takes it all back to, what is that place there in California? Irv Grove, California, right? So just check it out.
Moroni proclaims the restoration of the gospel. Beautiful gardens surround the temple, and most prominent is this cactus reproduction of a beehive, emblem of Utah and haven of the Deseret, or honeybee, symbolic of industry and thrift. Each day at noon, except Sunday, visitors are treated to inspiring organ recitals in the tabernacle. Here, Dr. Frank Asper, renowned artist, interprets the works of the great masters on this historical organ, which contains 7,000 pipes.
Makes you think about that part, one of Cain's descendants. Aren't they supposed to always be playing the organ or the pipe?
We could go on almost forever wandering through these friendly grounds, replete with symbols of Mormon history.
And let me pause that and say, I'm not saying these are the descendants of Cain and Abel, but remember, Cain had a murderer, so the mark of Cain would have passed off of Cain and onto the murderer of Cain and you know, you get what I'm saying. So I'm not saying these are the descendants of Adam and Eve. I'm saying that don't forget that Cain had a murderer that like he thought he would. You know, he killed him by accident, but it was in the book of Jasher. So that mark of him, Cain would have fell off the, you know, Cain and his descendants, and it would have went on to this man, you know, for killing Cain.
No story ever told is so utterly amazing and dramatic as that miracle of 1848, which prompted this memorial to seagulls, the only monument ever erected to bird life in America. Picture, if you can, pioneers rejoicing over the prospect of harvesting their first crop. Without warning, hordes of crickets start devouring every green thing. Pioneers fight to save the precious grain. Discouraged, they offer prayer. Suddenly, the heavens are filled with flocks of seagulls who devour the crickets, and so a column is erected in remembrance of the mercy of God to the Mormon pioneers. Centrally located are bronze statues of Joseph Smith, the prophet, and his brother Hiram. It is related that as a boy,
it was said by a pastor that grew up as a Catholic, that a Catholic priest told him as the young man that I don't want to dog the pastor, but the pastor, you know, he knew going into the Catholic Church, this wasn't what he wanted to do. He, as he was growing, he asked about different faiths and different religions. The pastor, he explained that he had an interest in the occult. The priest told him that whenever he wants to get out of the occult, but he still wants to have connections to people within it, he said to, how did he say it? He said to join the Mormons, because he said the Mormons were a religion that was founded by witches for witches. And that right there, when I was listening to that pastor say that, it prompted me to look into Joseph Smith, and apparently his family was laden in occult practices of witchcraft. And on top of that, he is also a 33-degree Freemason.
Joseph Smith saw a vision, and as a result founded the Mormon religion in Fayette, New York in April 1830. This is Heber J. Grant, 7th President of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints.
I am delighted always to welcome visitors to Salt Lake City. I like to recall it was stated of old that the house of the Lord should be erected in the tops of the mountains, and people of many...
Do you hear that? The house of the Lord will be built in the tops of the mountains, right? Funny, they're in a valley area. Tops of the mountains look like this, right? I'm just saying.
nations gathered.
Even Colorado's mountain plains are actually higher than Utah's. So I don't really comprehend, you know, how they are twisting this to make it seem like they fulfilled it there in Salt Lake.
There, and that the desert.
And this is what I'm talking about. These are, they call them the Joshua tree. Now, I haven't found out why they found these trees and said these are the Joshua trees, but I did find this interesting. On the cover of the book, Mystery of the Mexican Pyramids, you know, they were there, so I looked up the Joshua tree, and yeah, it goes all the way down into South America, this cactus-like tree can. But I still haven't found out why they call it that.
It would be made to blossom as the rose. When Brigham Young led our Mormon people across the plains to the slopes of the Wasatch Range, he looked upon the desert surrounding the Great Salt Lake and cried out, "This is the place." The Lord's house has been built here. A desert has been redeemed. People of many nations have gathered here. I was born and raised in this valley and was a passenger on the first Rio Grande train into Salt Lake City more than half a century ago. The passing years have strengthened the thought I had then that these fertile valleys of the Rockies are a tribute to the industry.
See, that's a contradiction, right? These fertile valleys of the Rockies, you haven't built it in the mountain like you said you were going, like you said the scriptures say. So I'm just saying, you contradict yourself in all your professional, opinion.
Sacrifice, thrift, and courage of the pioneer men and women who founded this land of bountiful beauty. For the strength of the hills, we bless thee, our God, our Father's God.
To fully appreciate Salt Lake City and understand it,
So that's everything. Just check this out if you can, if you feel like it. It's
unique
worth your time. There's plenty of other videos here on this man's page. A lot of old documentaries. So just check it out if you feel like it. Anyways, I'm NW Smith and I'm out, everyone.